Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're really diving into the life of Julius Caesar. I mean, this is the guy whose ambition, his strategic genius, just reshaped Rome, republic to empire.
It's an incredible period. So many fascinating characters, and loyalties are just all over the place, clashing with these huge political ideas.
Right, and we've got some great sources to work with, a strong narrative, some sharp historical analysis. We want to give you the key insights.
Yeah, a bit of a shortcut, maybe, to understanding the man himself, the legends, and those really defining moments in Roman history.
Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to follow Caesar's biggest moments.
Yeah.
That decision at the Rubicon, obviously, then the civil war with Pompey, that whole Cleopatra encounter, which is just wild.
And ultimately, how the seeds of his own end were sown right alongside his greatest triumphs.
Exactly. Get ready to maybe see this epic story in a slightly different light. So let's start there at the Rubicon. 49 BC, Caesar's legions are right there on the bank. This is a massive moment, huge tension, what's really going through his mind.
Well, the sources show this kind of internal conflict. He talks about not wanting to spill Roman blood, right? He even looks at the forces opposing him and thinks, they're inexperienced, it'll be a slaughter.
But how genuine is that reluctance? Is it partly for show?
That's the question. Our analysis points to this being part of his insidious clemency strategy. It wasn't just about feeling bad, it was a calculated move. Win loyalty, undermine Pompey. It's actually much smarter than just marching in.
And his own guy, Brutus, calls him out on it, doesn't he? Basically says, look, we crossed the river, the decision's made, stop now, and we're all dead.
Precisely. Brutus sees the reality. There's no going back. And the history confirms Caesar did pause. He spent a night really wrestling with it, the potential loss of life.
But then
It's pure Caesar. A lightning strike south, catches Pompey totally flat-footed. So much so, Pompey flees Rome and forgets to even empty the state treasury.
oh, just leaves it there.
Leaves it. A critical mistake right at the start. Gave Caesar a huge advantage, both financially and, psychologically.
So while Caesar's surging forward, what's Pompey doing? How's he handling this sudden reversal?
Pompey is, well, he's really irritated. You can feel his frustration in the sources. He resents Caesar's fame, all the buzz about his wins in Gaul.
He feels like his own work is forgotten.
Exactly. He's like, I kept Rome safe. I ensured the grain supply, the bread and safety, he calls it. And now everyone's just fascinated by Caesar's exploits. It really shows you how much public perception matters, doesn't it? Even for a giant like Pompey.
Yeah, charisma versus maybe competence or long service.
Something like that. And this frustration pushes him to leave Rome, head to Greece. He still thinks he has the advantage there.
Bigger army, experienced commanders.
Right. He's confident Caesar will learn the difference between filthy tribesmen and soldiers of Rome. It's a strategic retreat, sure, but you can tell it's a bitter pill for him to swallow.
But was Greece really the advantage he thought it was?
Well, the analysis suggests he was kind of outmaneuvered even before he left Italy. Demanding Caesar return without his army, that was never going to happen. And having the Senate with him in Greece, it sounds good, but...
More complicated.
Yeah, arguably a greater handicap. Lots of egos, lots of arguments. And despite having, twice the infantry and 4 times the cavalry, what does he do?
He builds walls.
He digs in, fights a defensive war, builds massive fortifications. It suggests something's off. Maybe his strategic thinking isn't what it was. There are hints of an illness around this time, too, which might explain some of it.
Okay, so Pompey's digging in over in Greece. Caesar, meanwhile, marches into Rome. That must have been quite the entrance.
Oh, absolutely. A carefully managed spectacle. He comes in making these huge promises. A new Rome, he says, built with all the gold from Gaul. New forums, amphitheaters, baths. It's his gift to the people.
Wow. Talk about winning hearts and minds.
It's pure political theater, and he promises to bring in his veteran soldiers to ensure order and law. It's a direct contrast to Pompey, who's seen as having abandoned the city.
So that's the insidious clemency in action again.
Textbook example. It's not just mercy, it's a weapon. Make yourself look like the responsible one, the generous one. Make Pompey's side look chaotic and fractured. It encourages defections, builds loyalty. It's brilliant, really.
But surely not everyone bought it, especially someone close to him who maybe felt overlooked, like Brutus.
Ah, Brutus, yes. This is where things get really personal. While Caesar's sorting out Rome, putting Mark Antony in charge day to day, Brutus feels completely sidelined.
He expected more.
He felt he was owed a little more than this. That's the quote. He sees Antony, who he clearly dislikes. He apparently fantasized about killing him, suddenly becoming Caesar's right-hand man in Rome.
And that's the breaking point for him.
It seems to be. He declares, I am done with Julius and he is done with me. It's a critical shift. And the reasons are complex, tangled up in personal history. Caesar's affair with Brutus's mother, Servilia.
Right, that old story.
Then Caesar having an heir with Cleopatra later on, that probably didn't help. And maybe the most cutting thing for Brutus, according to some analysis, being publicly forgiving by Caesar after the Battle of Pharsalus, that act of magnanimity felt to Brutus somehow unbearable.
Wow. So forgiveness itself becomes an insult.
For someone with Brutus's pride, perhaps, yeah. It's a tangled web of resentment.
So Brutus leaves Rome, his loyalty completely broken. What happens then? His journey takes him. Where?
He ends up heading towards Pompey's camp, naturally. But there's this interesting detour where he meets a jeweler, Tabik, and they have this philosophical chat.
Jeweler.
Yeah, Tabik talks about people born with a hole in them. They want and want until they tear themselves to pieces. And it seems to resonate deeply with Brutus's own feeling of dissatisfaction, that sense of being owed something more.
A mirror to his own ambition and resentment.
Exactly. But what's fascinating is even in this moment of personal crisis and betrayal, his Roman military instincts kick in. He runs into some Pompeian guards.
Loyal to Pompey.
Loyal to Pompey, but kind of lost. Seneca's men, apparently. Brutus just takes command, sorts them out, finds them a ship to get to Tarentum and join the main forces.
Even though he's just switched sides, he's still acting like a general, taking responsibility.
He is. He even worries Caesar would make an example of these men if they were caught. It shows his ingrained discipline.
And Caesar's reaction to Brutus joining Pompey.
Well, famously, Caesar orders his officers that if they encounter Brutus in battle, he is to be spared if possible.
Still protecting him, even after this betrayal.
It shows that incredibly complex relationship, doesn't it? Maybe a lingering affection, or perhaps Caesar just underestimated how deep Brutus's resentment ran. A definite blind spot.
Okay, so the main stage of the war shifts to Greece. Pompey has built up this big army at Dyrrhachium. They're disciplined. Morale is supposedly high.
On paper, yes, they're eager to take Caesar down. But Pompey's leadership is becoming a real issue. That defensiveness, the fortifications Brutus noted.
It sapped their courage.
That's how Brutus saw it. It worried the officers who wanted to be more aggressive. It suggested Pompey wasn't confident, despite having the numbers. And the illness factor might be playing a role, too.
And Caesar? He's still playing his psychological games?
Oh, yeah. He keeps up the insidious clemency, sends spies, spreads rumors about his generous terms, highlights that he's letting families of senators on Pompey's side return home safely, always working to undermine Pompey's support.
But then Caesar makes a mistake near Dyrrhachium.
A big one. He tries a pincer movement, and it goes completely wrong. His famous Third Legion breaks and runs. Caesar himself is supposedly left standing alone, trying to rally them with a standard. It's a disaster.
And Pompey has him. He could have finished it right there.
He could have. Victory was right there for the taking. But Pompey hesitates. He suspects it's a trap. He refuses to pursue and crush Caesar's routed army.
Unbelievable.
Caesar himself apparently said later, "Today, victory would have gone to our opponents if they had someone who knew how to win." It just highlights Pompey's paralysis, his fear maybe, when facing Caesar.
But that hesitation must have driven the senators in his camp crazy.
Absolutely furious. They were contemptuous of his caution. They pushed him, demanding he fight decisively. And that pressure, combined with everything else, leads him to the big showdown.
Pharsalus.
Pompey has this huge, diverse army. Caesar has his smaller but battle-hardened veteran force.
And Pompey makes another critical error.
A uniquely poor decision, as one source puts it. He orders his front line to hold back, not charge. Why? Probably appalling morale. His men weren't as confident as they seemed.
So Caesar's veterans just smash into him.
Pretty much. Caesar's victory there is seen as much a win for his propaganda and the perception he'd built as it was a purely military one. His men believed in him more.
And Brutus, he was in that battle.
He fought alongside Labienus, another former ally of Caesar's who had switched sides. They were defeated. Brutus was injured. A rough end to his first campaign against his former mentor.
So Pompey flees for Pharsalus, heads for Egypt. Caesar follows. Expecting a final battle, maybe?
Perhaps. But what he gets instead is, well, shocking.
The gift.
Yeah. On the docks in Alexandria, he's presented with Pompey's head, preserved in a jar of oil.
And Caesar's reaction.
He weeps, Despite everything, the rivalry, the war, he weeps. He says Pompey deserved better than to be murdered by the hands of strangers. It speaks volumes about Caesar's own sense of Roman dignity, maybe even a flicker of their old connection.
Even in victory, there are lines you don't cross.
For Caesar, it seems so. Murdering a Roman general, even an enemy, by foreigners, unthinkable, dishonorable.
And then things move incredibly fast in Alexandria. Right.
Sure.
Enter Cleopatra.
Like something out of a play. Within days, she arranges this famous meeting, smuggled in, supposedly rolled up in a carpet or a bag, delivered right to Caesar.
Just incredible. And she immediately asks for his help.
Straight away. She needs him to back her claim to the throne against her younger brother, Ptolemy.
And she makes quite an impression.
Immensely. Described as super intelligent, captivating, speaks multiple languages. She even tells Caesar her her spirit, is divine. She plays on his sense of honor, appeals to his anger over Pompey's murder.
And he's drawn in.
Completely. He dives headfirst into Egyptian politics. It becomes his problem now.
Which leads to fighting in Alexandria itself.
A really nasty battle. Street fighting. Young Ptolemy, initially scared, gets pushed by his advisors to attack Caesar's forces. And during this chaos, Cleopatra does something extraordinary.
What does she do?
She appears on the battlefield, reveals herself as queen, and the effect is stunning.
The soldiers react.
Ptolemy's whole army, the citizens watching, they just kneel. Apparently her presence is that commanding. Ptolemy tries to fight on, but gets killed in the confusion.
She basically wins the battle with her charisma.
It seems like it. That incredible sway she had over her people solidifies her power. Caesar can then officially install her as ruler.
But amidst all this drama and victory, there's a huge loss.
Yeah, the great library of Alexandria catches fire during the fighting. A tragedy.
How does Caesar react to that?
He's genuinely stunned by the destruction. He mourns the loss of all that knowledge, the work of generations.
And Brutus, he's there too, recovering.
He is, and his reaction is quite different. He's described as taking a more detached, almost clinical view, fascinated by the sheer scale of the destruction, a real contrast to Caesar's horror.
Interesting difference in perspective. So Caesar sorts out Egypt, fathers a child with Cleopatra Caesarion, then he eventually heads back to Rome.
After a bit of a tour, yes. He returns to Rome, bringing Cleopatra and their son with him. And his return isn't just a return, it's like the biggest triumph parade ever seen.
And the Senate just rolls over, gives him everything.
Pretty much showers him with honors, unprecedented stuff. Dictator perpetuus, dictator for life, that one really breaks with tradition. Imperator, supreme commander, father of his country. They even vote him divine honors, a statue to the unconquerable god.
Is this genuine adoration, or is there something else going on? Are they trying to trap him?
That's debated. Some historians think figures like Cicero might have been encouraging these extreme honors, hoping Caesar would overreach, go too far, and alienate the Roman people. Or maybe they were just trying to stay on his good side, stay relevant as the Republic crumbled.
So peak power for Caesar. But beneath the surface, tensions are building, especially with Brutus.
Definitely. Brutus is back in Rome, pardoned, but he's described as bitter. He hates seeing Caesar reveling in all the fawning attention. He's still thinking about Pharsalus, how one battle could have turned his life onto a new path, that jealousy and pride are eating at him.
And he confronts Caesar about the direction things are heading.
He does. He directly asks him, so you will be a king, like Ptolemy. He sees where this is going.
And Caesar's response? Is he dreaming of empire by now?
Oh, absolutely. Caesar's vision has expanded massively. He talked about a world ruled by Roman law from Africa to the frozen lands of the north. He even imagines Rome and Alexandria as twin capitals of an empire. He's energized, planning new wars in Parthia. The Republic seems like a distant memory for him.
But the people aren't necessarily on board with the king idea. Antony tries to crown him.
Right, during the Lupercalia festival. Antony offers him a diadem, a crown. But the crowd's reaction is lukewarm at best. Caesar refuses it, probably sensing the mood. It shows that deep Roman aversion to kingship was still very much alive.
Okay, so the stage is set for the final act. Caesar's all-powerful, dreaming of empire, but isolated. The conspiracy is growing.
He seems almost oblivious, focused on his upcoming Parthian campaign. Then Cassius, another key conspirator, informs him the Senate will meet on the Ides of March.
March 15th.
March 15th. And crucially, they're meeting in the theater of Pompey.
Pompey's theater. Wow, the symbolism.
Hugely symbolic, a deliberate choice. meeting in his defeated rival's monuments, like a final insult or perhaps a stage set for revenge.
And on the day,
Caesar goes despite warnings, and he's attacked, stabbed 23 times.
23 wounds. But there's that detail about Brutus.
Yes. The sources say Caesar struggled, fought back against his attackers, until he saw Brutus among them.
His protege, the man he spared.
Exactly. And upon seeing Brutus, Caesar reportedly stopped fighting, pulled his toga over his head, and just sat like stone until they had completed their task.
The courage of that. It's hard to imagine.
It really is defiance in the face of the ultimate betrayal.
And the motivations for Brutus, beyond just saving the Republic, we touched on them.
The historical analysis really emphasizes the personal. Yes, the Republic mattered, but it seems deeply intertwined with that complex history. Servilia, Cleopatra's son, threatening Brutus's potential status, the broken engagement to Caesar's daughter Julia years before.
She married Pompey instead, didn't she?
She did, another link in that chain. And finally, that unbearable forgiveness at Pharsalus. It paints a picture of a betrayal driven as much by personal wounds and pride as by high-minded ideals.
It's a very human tragedy.
Absolutely. And the immediate aftermath for the assassins.
Not good, I imagine.
The sources are chillingly clear. Not a single man who stood with bloody hands in Pompey's theater died a natural death. Civil war erupted almost immediately.
So we've traced this incredible arc. From the Rubicon, this calculated risk-taker, manipulator of clemency, all the way to becoming this almost godlike figure, architect of an empire, only to be struck down. A man of huge contradictions.
Definitely. Championed mercy, yet was utterly ruthless in pursuing power. Valued loyalty from his men, yet inspired lethal resentment in someone like Brutus. He fundamentally changed Rome, no question. He paved the way for the empire.
And Octavian Augustus picked up the pieces.
Right. Caesar's greatest good fortune, perhaps, was having Octavian follow him. Augustus built the stable empire on the foundations Caesar laid, often violently.
Which leaves us with a question for you listening. What really drove someone like Caesar? Was it fate? Pure personal ambition? Or did he genuinely believe he was acting for Rome's greater good, even as he tore down its traditions?
And maybe think about how those same drives, ambition, ideology, personal relationships, the quest for power and purpose still play out with leaders all around us today. What echoes of Caesar and Pompey and Brutus do you still see?
Lots to think about there.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into a truly pivotal moment in history. Until next time, keep digging, keep questioning, and keep learning.